Commissioner Mullins. Commissioner Gallagher.
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Thank
There
you.
is a quorum present.
Okay, as you wish, let's stand for the pledge and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sir.
Heavenly Father, we ask your presence and your guidance as we do the business of the county. Help us individually and collectively work toward making our county a better place. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Our consent agenda is as posted, minutes of last week's meeting, monthly report from the county clerk, the hire replacement employee by the collector, and removal of inventory for the public administrator. I do want to check to make sure that this list of inventory has been submitted to the auditor's office.
I have not seen one.
Okay, so can we delay that item for approval until we know that that's been done?
I move that we accept the consent agenda with the exception of the removal of inventory by the public
Okay,
administrator.
thank you.
I will second.
Okay, all in favor of those first three items for approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, aye, thank you. Okay, tabled agenda item would be the Goggin Property Development, waive penalty and interest. Anybody want to weigh in on that? Yeah, we looked at that, right?
Here we have,
That was the one you looked at last week, that he was saying
Right.
that he didn't realize that his
Right.
escrow did not pay the taxes, and it got sent to someplace and came back, and
It was a mailing issue.
it was a mailing issue. And Pam, did you, might have gotten, we asked her to look into it any further. Was there anything else that?
No, the mail did come back. It was addressed to the correct place where it was supposed to go, but the post office sent it back to us.
in our discussion, we talked about, we make adjustments if there's an error on our part, the county's part. And in this case, it really falls on the post office. We mailed it, and, I mean, it would be really difficult to grant relief from them and then not carry that to everybody else. I mean, if we did everything we're supposed to do, and I think we did, then I don't think there's grounds to seek reimbursement.
Basically,
Or interest.
I'm sorry. Basically, our long-term policy on this, if it's the county's fault, we will seriously look at waiving penalty and interest. But if it's not our fault, we don't do that. Do I hear a motion on how to handle this?
Well, I would move-
We can do this in a positive way, we
Yeah.
always do, so I would move that we remove the penalty and interest on this said property.
I have
Tongue in
a,
cheek. Is that right?
Pardon?
You're doing that tongue in cheek?
yes. I have a motion to approve the waive penalty and interest on this item.
And I would second the motion.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Yes, Rich?
Have we talked to the post office about this?
It's really not a county question, Rich. It's man, that would be my thing if I were he. I would pursue the post office,
But it becomes the interest of the affected party to make that connection,
well, yeah.
not the county.
Yeah, you know, say a neighbor picked up your mail and lost that. How do we justify that? How do we
Well-
clarify that?
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all in favor of, yes, of waiving penalty and interest on this item, please say aye. Hearing none. All opposed to waiving penalty and interest on this item, please say aye.
Aye or no.
Okay. We do this so the yes vote means yes and no vote means no. Okay, that item's taken care of. Bid opening for equipment. Do we have a bid for a 4x4 mowing tractor?
Yes, sir.
We
We have
do.
one, okay. One, by the way? Is it one bid? Yes, ma'am. Now, we will not act on these at this meeting. The bids will be put on the front of the table, and then I will give a short recess after the bid openings, and the bidders, or whoever else is interested, can come up and photograph the bids based on offer. And then we will take those away, run through the auditing and clerk process and make sure everything's valid, and then a decision will be made. Okay, that's all the bids on the tractor, right?
That's it.
Okay, and one bid, okay. Yes,
Commissioner, since we have only received one bid, myself and the highway administrator was going to review this. Would it be possible for its approval today?
We can possibly.
Later
do
in the
that.
meeting.
With auditor and clerk's approval, we can do that. And what they do is check to make sure that everything's a valid bid.
We got something else coming up, I'll stay.
Okay, yeah, I got another bid opening. Okay, now the bid opening is for, concrete box culverts.
And we have 3 bids that have been turned in. And the Grammy goes to. Okay, this
Who's
is
this
from
bid from?
RCP, Fred Weber.
Okay.
The nominees are.
The nominees are in the category of
Kevin,
culvert.
have you placed that so the dollar amount's visible?
Yep,
Okay.
we're good, right there.
This bid is from?
This one's from McCann Concrete Products in Dorsey, Illinois.
You need this one approved today?
Oh, we wanna review, since we got more than one, we're gonna review these.
And then now,
Just to make sure.
County Materials Corporation in Springfield, Illinois. Now, we have the bids up here, we have the prices. If you're with that bidding group and you would like to come take the pictures of the bids,
Yeah,
now.
right now, I declare a short recess.
Do it now.
Informal recess. Come
Anybody
on up
else?
if you're interested, take pictures.
And this we will review and award next week.
Yes.
Okay.
Of what?
Who are you with?
Or are you running for the board?
Weber.
Little piece of quiet.
I used to call it Brother.
I'm going, long time no see. I still drive the same truck.
Mark,
Go ahead, no, take your time.
you were with that first bid, correct? Yeah. Got it?
Okay, we're finished with that part. Let's move on to the agenda, and thank you for the bidders, to the bidders. Now we're going to talk about, job description change, step and pay increase for Phil Wadlow. Sheriff Department?
Or about that, I was reading the text.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sheriff Dan Bullock, this is a job description of our maintenance person at the county jail. As you can see, this is a list of his regular daily duties. He is the only custodian maintenance person we have. Back when Mark Hedrick was still here, we, under my understanding that we had made a maintenance supervisor position at the jail. After talking to the girls in Kevin's office, that evidently never did happen. We do have a job description for this position. Besides this list of duties that you see here, which is quite extensive, Phil is on call 24/7, holidays, weekends. Our equipment in the kitchen, the plumbing, electrical, the daily things at the jail, they're 25 years old. They're starting to break down. They break down like they do at your homes on weekends, nighttime, holidays, doesn't make any difference. He's on call all the time. He steps up to the plate and comes and takes care of those things. So I would like to just change him. Right now he's listed as, on the matrix as maintenance. I'd like to make that maintenance supervisor. He also takes and controls inmate workers, runs a full service laundry, which runs 24/7. They're a full service kitchen. We prepare 3 meals a day, 365 days a year, keep that equipment up and going. And I'd like to step him up to it and create this new position, maintenance supervisor.
How would that affect his salary? What is it now, what would it be, or?
His salary right now is 15, and this
$15
new
per hour.
position, I have submitted that would start in at $18.
questions if it's okay.
Okay.
To change, what would his duties be if he were changed to supervisor? Would that change from what he's been doing?
It would not, but he has stepped up and doing all these extra things, this extra work, and I think he needs to be rewarded for it.
Well, I don't argue with you, but the way we've got the, and I may have to call on HR or something. Beginning in January, there were some employees that got a 50-cent raise, some got put off until a later time. Is that pretty close? I'm not sure. But I think Mr. Webber received that 50-cent raise.
He did that.
And his last adjustment was maybe in 2018. Does that sound right? I'm going from memory. I hope I'm not saying it wrong.
No, well, and he has got the regular raise that you all approve each year that everyone gets.
Right. And that's what I'm talking about, the 50 cents, I think, this year.
Yes. Prior to that, and he was an employee here for 10 years as of October of last year. And I know that you're supposed to get your current salary for 5 years before you take the next step. He has been. He was maintenance at the courthouse prior to working at the county jail, and has been maintenance over there for 5 years now.
Well, and this is just my personal observation, but a raise of about $3 an hour is a pretty good raise. And if his duties really haven't changed, we've got to live within the matrix thing we have really right now, is what I'm saying.
I understand, and what I'm asking is to add a new position. This is something that's not in the matrix right now.
You know, can I make a motion that we table this and do more exploration? Because we don't want to deny him, but we don't want to, we're trying to keep stability in our matrix here.
I understand.
So is that part of a motion?
I motion that we place this on the table till we next meeting.
And I will second.
All in favor of tabling this item, vote aye.
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 Thank you. I anticipated the yes vote before I said that. Okay, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Job description change for Danielle Peniston, and this is from the assessor's office. From the assessor's office. From the assessor's office. Yeah. All right.
Pay attention.
I'm glad everybody pays attention.
I was looking at a text.
Thank you.
We do have hearing insurance.
Yes. Mike, thank you for your thank you guys.
Dan Ward, County Assessor. This is a request for a job title change for Danielle Peniston, who has a total of 17 years with our office. And she is no longer out front doing personal property or copying maps. She will be in the back with where Connie Eaton had been, performing the duties that Mrs. Eaton had performed.
Yeah, we've got a copy of
As
it.
a clerk 3,
We've got a copy of it.
which deals with the new Vanguard program of deed sketching, totally different change of duties that she was with the clerk 2. Any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Can I question here? This is a job title change because she's changed from one aspect to another role.
Correct.
And this would change her salary by 25 cents, do I understand?
I had to look at it, wasn't a lot, because with the pay increase, there wasn't a big change, an increase in that.
Right.
But the overall duties totally changed from what she was doing. And as far as the duties out front and then the job description, we clarify clerk 1, clerk 3, clerk 2, or clerk 3, 2 and 3. And the differences are a lot more in detail in the clerk 3, which she is doing now, and has been actually since, I'm thinking November of last year she's been working. And I think we approached the commission last year on those increases, and they were under advisement. But she's been doing that job since, the new job since then.
But now,
This is one of those the prior approved
Yes.
of yours and HR that you've already approved these normal steps.
Right.
So I just thought it.
And actually, Ms. Strum with HR was in our office, I believe it was last week, going and visiting with each of our departments to see how they went, and she spent some time at Danielle's desk watching her work and getting an understanding of the difference, what's out front and what's in.
I think that somehow, I don't mean to throw you under the bus, but it could have been submitted earlier, but didn't get done, is that right, her job?
It was actually, and you're not throwing me under the bus, Commissioner, trust me.
I don't need to.
I've been under the bus, it doesn't feel like it. We had requested it last year due to the job change, but I'm assuming there were some other offices that maybe didn't have their job title done or whatever, as we had done earlier, year before last, whatever. And so it was postponed, taken under advisement. So I basically have been periodically checking with the commission to see if that decision was gonna be made. Unfortunately, we're on the agenda today for that to take place, for that to go into effect, I think, this next pay, schedule pay
Okay,
period.
well, I don't have a problem.
Okay, to be clear, this is distinctly an advanced job description,
Totally.
increased duties.
Everything has changed for her.
Everything's
She,
changed.
once in a while, we'll go back out front to help fill in if somebody, if we have a crowd. But her full duties now are sketching and working on real estate.
Okay. All right.
Amber, you have a question?
Well,
I just want to clarify, I think most of the pay increases from step 1 to a 2 to a 2 to a 3 is 75 cents an hour.
each step.
75 cents?
I believe so.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion, and based your recommendation, that we do this, do I have a motion based on that recommendation?
I move we grant the request and permit her job change, title change, and the increase of whatever it may be, 25 or 75 or whatever. I'm not sure what.
Apparently. Well,
I think.
that's, okay.
That's already determined, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, second?
I will second.
Okay, any questions at this point? All in favor of approving the step and pay increase, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, renewal of contract for Bradley D. Ross. I've met Bradley D. Ross.
Yes, this is our renewal with our appraiser who deals with our quarries, who works on an annual visitation with us to actually do a hands-on with each quarry within our county. And this is, he's been with us probably since I think 14 or 15, I'm not sure, so 5 or 6 years that he's been working with us. This is a renewal that we have come to you every year since the beginning of this to renew his contract.
There's not many people that can
It's a
have that
specialized
certification.
And to be honest with you, I went online looking for other appraisers when this first came out, because we had an appeal and there was an appraiser out of Illinois at the time that took on the quarries side during the case. And I was looking for other appraisers in order to contact them to see if there was a difference. There are very few, very few. And the gentleman from Illinois is retired now. Most of the other ones that do deal with appraisal, like he does, works with the oil industry. Very few of them deal with minerals anymore.
And Brad works all over the United States.
All over the United States, yes, yes. And he works not only for the assessor's offices, there's times he'll work for the quarries themselves in a situation where they hire him.
Okay. Your recommendation that we extend this?
I would ask that you do so.
Motion?
I would move that we renew the contract for professional services to Bradley D. Ross for the certified professional jealous.
I second the motion.
Okay, have a motion second. Any questions? What do we pay Brad?
$200 an hour.
Okay,
And I try to get him out here as quick as I can.
all right. Okay, any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Close out report.
All right. You guys ready? Okay. Here we go. All right. Owl Creek Dam Reclamation Project, REY 1702/01. Now, I'd like to point out that this project sits adjacent to the 37.57 acre county park. Notice the erosion that is carrying tailings into the Owl Creek, and then it flows into the Big River, which is right over here. The length of the dam, imagine almost 2 football fields. Herman Rene Deloge, founder of the city of Deloge, created the Deloge Consolidated Lead Company. In 1911, he built a railroad bed with a spillway over a creek called Owl Creek. So the spillway is on the north and obviously the south sides. In the concrete, he put the initials DCLCO 1911. We, the commission, felt it imperative to preserve the piece of history. Here you have over, this is looking on an adjacent piece of property, a gentleman by the name of Joe Stewart. He owns 104 acres. This was a joint project with him, and right over here is the city of Deloge. This is looking east. Here you can see where some of the tailings have, they've obviously been removed. Okay, so in early 2013, I reached out to my EPA contacts and they put me in touch with Federal Dam and Safety. Basically, in a nutshell, if we would call this a dam instead of a railroad, we'd get funds from DNR and EPA to clean this project up. So it was a no-brainer, so we decided to call it a dam.
It became a dam.
It became a dam, yes. So this is looking west. You can see the excavators and bulldozers at work. Right down here is the spillway. This right over here is the Stewart property. Now think about it, and it has been estimated that some 250 million tons of mill waste, tailings, and chat were produced in St. Francis County during the lead producing years. Obviously, this is just one of 8 sites. So in 2015, I started the process of working with a multitude of state and federal agencies. We started the project and sent out engineering qualifications back in October of 2016. I stated then that in an open meeting that this would be a long and arduous journey. In December of 2016, the St. Francis County Commission selected Smith & Company to proceed. Here you have some of the tailings removed, and this was a joint project with the St. Francis County Road and Bridge Department, who I'd like to commend. Early on, they were looking at test holes for not only adjacent property soil, but also right here. So our Road and Bridge guys, under the guidance of Clay Copeland and John Gross, sent our Road and Bridge guys out, and they did several test holes. Now this test hole is just on the dam. Over here is the adjacent Stewart property, and you'll see that in the impending slides. So we have an engineering company, Federal Dam and Safety, Missouri DNR, and the EPA involved. All entities involved identified two key issues. The dam is 44 foot tall, so lowering it by 18 foot would put the structure in compliance with Federal Dam and Safety. The dam will never need inspected again, so no more red tape. Yay. That right there is a win. No more red tape, no more inspections. Great. 2, major contamination exists. Contamination is flowing right into the Big River. Here, the spillway is right there, and this is Owl Creek, and the tailings go right into the Owl Creek, right into the Big River that runs this way. This, where I'm standing at, is on Joe Stewart's property, and this is looking at the dam. The dam starts right here and ends right up in here somewhere. Imagine a little, almost 2 football fields. So major contamination existed. Now this contamination is flowing right into the Big River. Contamination is coming from the lead tailings. EPA Jason Gunther and Greg Bach and a gentleman by the name of John Weber, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, analyzed the material. I actually watched the initial analyzing for clarity and documentation. Now EPA has deemed results above 1,200 parts per million as hazardous. The readings were anywhere from 8,000 to 16,000 parts per million. Long-range estimates were anywhere from $800,000 to $1 million, all being paid by these federal agencies. This is looking east, and while working with Brandon Wiles, environmental specialist with Missouri DNR, and Ronald Littich, facilities management and design and construction with Missouri DNR, and a Dennis Stinson, Superfund section chief, hazardous waste program with Missouri DNR, we had to find ways to save money on this project. So in early May, I was exploring the property and found a rock pile left over from the mining days, which was located on Mr. Stewart's property. Now this is where it's nice to have an engineer on your commission. So I looked at it and I called Harold and asked him what he was doing. He was actually in the office. And I said, tomorrow, bring your boots to the office. He brought his boots. The very next day, we came out and we measured the rock pile. Imagine the rock pile almost the size of this annex building. In essence, Harold, with his engineering qualifications and due diligence, determined that there was ample supply in this rock pile to cover the dam. And he determined that there was a sufficient amount. So, fast forwarding, I immediately, on May 12th, 2016, at 1:40 p.m., I sent an email to Dennis Stinson, who actually loved the idea. This is the rock being used, and here is the aftermath. So I can remember talking to Harold a couple days after that, after he pulled up the the topography and everything on the computer, and he said, you're just going to get just enough to cover that dam. Now you watch, we may have to truck it in, but it'll be very minimal. Well, in Mr. Gallagher's professional engineering, we didn't have to haul any rock. So rock pile's gone, all 14,118 yards. So you can see, here's the Owl Creek spillway. You can see Mr. Stewart's property here. This is Owl Creek. This is flowing into Bowen Hole right in here. And you can see all the tailings and the vegetation. Here is the after project, after they've removed all the tailings. We have preserved the spillway. The initials DCLCO 1911 are right there. Harold, can you talk about the cone and the liquid concrete?
Yeah, we brought in an engineered, specially made liner, steel liner for this. The problem was that the top of the original concrete structure was scaling and weakening and caving in. And that would go up to the roadway above and cause cave-ins in the future. And once you do this, you can't make those changes. So we put in that steel liner and then grouted concrete all the way around it to seal that in. So now we have a closed system, if you will, of that containment, and it's working well.
And that's why it's nice to have an engineer as a commissioner. Okay, so this is the north side of Owl Creek, or I'm sorry, this is the south side of the dam. You can see the initials dating all the way back to 1911. This is the aftermath. You can see they've cleaned up, they've done some seeding there, they've removed the chat and tailings. The project will retain the historical value while providing a functional solution to address the actual structural concerns. So we were pleased with the outcome on that.
And to put it in perspective, I believe that liner was 14 feet wide.
Yes, sir.
Something like 14 feet in diameter. Okay.
Two, there was an urgent need for clean dirt that was not contaminated. Dirt would be used from the adjacent property owner, and the property owner would get paid, and the taxpayer would save money because of the close vicinity of the dirt. The pond was created from removing the dirt, which enhanced the opportunities for wildlife. On June 19th at 8:40 a.m., I was contacted by David Apima with Missouri DNR Environmental Remediation Program about using the rock and the soil for the capping the dam. The close proximity of the soil and rock would save money and enhance the area. So right here, this is a trail leading up to the open field, which is right over here. Right back in here is the rock pile. This is an open field. So this is where they're going to start on the process of digging the pond. Another money-saving idea was brought to our attention by our very own Clay Copeland and John Gross. They came up with the idea of using a repository access bypass side road into the park. There's a 600-acre lead repository sitting adjacent to this area, and that area is right in here. So this would accelerate the removal of the contamination because of the short distance, ultimately saving taxpayer money.
And it was an issue of safety to keep these haul trucks away from the public. They never had to access any public contact.
Great.
And these haul trucks are 6-foot diameter tires and 3 feet wide and massive and
70 ton.
not something you'd mix with a pickup truck.
No.
Yes. So that's them starting the process. Here is the future of a 3 to 4 acre pond taking shape. This is looking north. Here's your equipment at work. Bulldozer. And there's the equipment. Now, like I said, these they're removing a total of 12,000 cubic yards of soil, and they're using 14,118 cubic yards of rock. So a check to the landowner, Joe Stewart, paid by DNR was in the amount of $36,118. Okay, so if we'd have performed that work with our road and bridge dump trucks, our backhoes down there,
Well, the difference was, and I know we've talked about this in previous meetings, where we did do the Maple Street cleanup.
Mhm.
Now, the difference is that was a smaller scale operation, and for the road and bridge to have used their equipment and their trucks for a project of this scale would not have been practical. For one, they had a time frame in which to complete this. There was a window in which it had to be completed. With the equipment that we have and the trucks that we have, that could not have been possible. And our trucks are designed to work on the roadways. They're not off-road vehicles. These large 70-ton trucks are off-road vehicles. They can haul 3 times more than what our trucks can at any given time. And our equipment was not of the scale and of the size to have been able to complete this project. So it just wouldn't have been practical for us to even attempt at this. Now, even though we did assist at times for the access road, for the access into the property, and we were there weekly to monitor their progress and keep the commission updated. And but any way that we could have been assistance, we were. But a project of this scale, we just could not have done in a timely manner. It had taken us 3 years to do, and they had a 100-day window to get it finished.
Here you can obviously see the pond taking shape. This is the dam, and you can see the seeding. It's a win. This is the railroad bed leading into the open field. There's the pond. Here's the rock pile right here. Imagine a rock pile the size of the annex building. It's right here, and then right down in here is the dam. Here's the dam. This is standing on Mr. Stewart's property. I'm standing right next to the rock pile, which is right here. Here's the dam. You'll notice a spillway right in the middle of it.
That's the overflow spill.
Overflow spillway, yes, sir. Here's looking west. There's a better picture of the spillway, and this is obviously before the seeding. You can see how much they've capped. This is me standing on Landfill Road. This is the enormous size of the project. Right down here is the spillway on the north side, and then this is the spillway on the south side. So we came up with other ideas to look at saving money and remove. There was in the original plans there was a access road to be down the middle of it. We removed the maintenance road down the middle of the dam, working with Mr. Stewart, the adjacent landowner, and acquiring an excellent relationship, and you'll understand more of that relationship in the ensuing weeks. I have an agreement to access this side of the Owl Creek and property, 104 acres, and access that through his gate at any time. So moving on, there were an estimated 41 monster truck tires on the property. So thanks to Carl R. Jones, the contractor, and our St. Francis County Road and Bridge guys, they actually helped in the process of removing some of the tires. Now, removing them, this was again going to be costly, so I reached out to Brandon Wiles, the environmental specialist with Missouri DNR, and a Dan Fester, he is the chief scrap tire and illegal dumping unit with Missouri DNR. On March 8, 2019, I signed an access agreement with Dan Fester. Many site visits were made, and in the end, the total price to remove all of these tires, which amounted to 22 tons of tires, came to the amount of $6,380.66. Now, this money was paid through DNR. And that's the end of the slide. So the pictures that I took, those were the best pictures I could get. But in the future, I would like to look at maybe look at purchasing a drone. A drone, you could do the video footage, you could get it at all angles. I know it would be an additional obligation to our maybe technology department, our road and bridge department, but we could use that in so many areas. Could you maybe?
We could use it in storm damage. I know, as far as Dan, maybe doing a damage estimate after a tornado would come through just on our part, and or flood damage, for the road and bridge. It could definitely be utilized.
That idea has been brought up before, and we
Yes.
just weren't ready at that time, but
Right.
we may be approaching that.
Total, so work started on January 4th, 2019, and the official last day was September 16th, 2019. The work performed was by Carl R. Jones. Now there were little things that continued, such as seating and changing orders, but these are the actual hard dates. Total costs on the project were $703,997.12. Now this money came from Missouri DNR and EPA. St. Francis County was out concerning the engineering fees, and that equated to $28,419.70. Special thanks to Charlie and Sandy Booyer. They're the ones that also had some pictures, but I'm pleased that this project is finished. I think our road and bridge department, they did a wonderful job in assisting, and look, in the near future, in the ensuing weeks, we're going to be coming back to you all to look at expanding the Owl Creek Park, Bono Park, but we call it Owl Creek because of this project, and we're looking at expanding that park. And once again, I will go on record, the $703,997.12 was paid by Missouri DNR and the Environmental Protection Agency.
And this is from the St. Joe money.
It's a mixture of cleanup, hazardous, Superfund section, and all that. So,
Okay, right.
yeah.
So far, about $28,000, we got $750,000 worth of work done.
Yes, and more exciting news in the ensuing weeks. We're going to look at expanding the park. Well, if you're going to expand the park, what's that mean? Well, additional land. Well, doesn't additional land cost money? It does, but it won't be coming from the St. Francis County taxpayers.
That sounds like a trailer for an exciting coming event.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Well, I know he said that they weren't that great at pictures, but I thought some of the best damn pictures I've ever seen.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to make a comment that Patrick's hard work over a long time has brought this to fruition.
Thank you.
Needs to be congratulated.
And the long-term knowledge he's had with these people, working with them, and all that's really helped on it. So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
we appreciate it. Thank you. Any questions? Rich?
Yeah, sorry to ask another question,
All right.
but Patrick, where did all the contamination,
Now say that again.
where did all the contaminated soil and the tailings go?
Remember there's right here, you're looking at I'm standing on Landfill Road. To the left is the road that goes down to Bowen Hole, and here's Big River down in here. To the right is the actual transfer station. The transfer station just sits on just a few acres because obviously they truck their waste to Richwoods. But adjacent to the transfer station is a 600-acre repository. And what they do is basically they truck lead contaminated soil to this site, and then they put clean soil on it, and they
Encapsulated.
yes. So I have made it known that early on, my goal is that there's wildlife, there's an abundance of wildlife in this area. I have let it known from the very first day when we started this project that I would like to envision a huge conservation area open to individuals with handicap, disabilities, special needs. Imagine a young man, young woman in a wheelchair going to this special, this 600-acre repository and only catering to them and shooting their first deer, whatever, turkey, you know. And I have brought this idea up with the conservation department and they absolutely love it. So if we can do that, you're gonna see in the future a park, and it sits adjacent to the city of Deloge, which is right in here. There's a haul road that goes all around this 600-acre, and adjacent to this haul road is Big River. You can literally leave the city limits of Deloge on your bicycle the back route onto this haul road, and in 5 minutes you can be in the middle of nowhere. Now, I've been working with EPA, and those days are still quite away, but we've got a goal in mind, and I continue to work with them. So that's the ultimate goal.
And Rich, if I can, the area he's talking about, the 600 acres, it's like the tailings at St. Joe Park. It's just a big sandy field, and they've transferred it there and controlled it down and covered that with soil stabilizing. So
It has a rubber liner
right
to keep it from leaching
So
into
it's
the river.
moved to where there was more of that anyway, and just added to that, rather than trucking it across the highways and contaminating.
Rich, you have
Yeah,
anything else?
our car club has done some work with Camp Hope. And one of their efforts is to get disabled veterans out to hunt and fish. Perhaps they would enjoy using this area also.
That's part of the
Absolutely.
goal of
Okay.
this, yes. And with that coming event trailer that we're talking about, bragging about, that may be helpful too. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, now that's a report. We don't need to act on it anyway. But Patrick, again, thank you so much for all the work you've done on this. We appreciate it. Next meeting, February 4. I believe that's 1 week from today right here. Correspondence, anybody got anything?
I got
Public
something for you real
comments.
quick if I can.
Public comment, sir, come on up and speak to the microphone. Start with your name, please.
Okay. My name's Rusty Parker. I live over in Deloge. I came out here a couple weeks ago to drop off some papers. I somehow did it wrong. I done the YouTube thing or whatever on your phone, and I sent it to Mr. Wilkerson instead of the presiding commissioner. So they sent me a letter back and told me I needed to come out here and present this to you. Just have my copy signed.
You did, yes.
And then, wasn't to say much else, but after listening to Mr. Bullock say about a $3 an hour raise for somebody that's on call 24/7, I mean, you gotta think, you gotta factor in what one call would be for a janitor to run out there. Or I just think it'd be a better deal to, honor somebody and promote somebody who's been with the company for a long time.
Is that your public comment?
That's my public comment.
Thank you. We'll take that into consideration.
Can I get you to sign this here? The one's for you, the double one's for me.
Okay. Okay, and thank you, sir.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. Now, do we have any other public comments? Okay, do we have departmental reports? Are you ready to?
Can we take action on this, or? is it
Are you
too
ready
late?
to take action?
We are, yes.
Okay, plan to come up and make the recommendation, please.
And I believe we've done this in the past when we've only received one bid, but with them working with the auditor and looking.
John
through-
Gross, Highway Administrator. It is my recommendation after review of the spec sheet and the bid that we did receive today, after talking to the auditor, it meets everything that we've asked for in the specs, that we award the bid to S&N Partners of St. Jim, Missouri for the four-wheel drive mowing tractor.
Okay, horsepower, please.
It's 100 horsepower.
Okay, and will we get the chance for a lubrication analysis?
Yes, it's included in the bid.
It is included
Yes.
in the bid, okay.
What's that? I'm sorry.
100
Oil
horsepower.
specs.
Yeah, what does that entail?
They send it off to make sure that everything verifies.
See what-
There's
see
no
what micro metals or anything in
anything. Yeah.
Tells you what's wearing out.
Gotcha.
And also, how many hours?
It's got 160 hours.
160?
Yes.
Brand?
John Deere.
John Deere?
And this will meet the needs that you have.
It will, correct.
Okay. Any questions, anything else?
On
This
recommendation.
four-wheel unit with what else on it?
cab tractor, four-wheel drive.
No bucket,
No bucket,
okay,
hydraulics in the back.
okay.
On recommendation of the highway administrator, I move that we grant permission to purchase the tractor.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor of buying this tractor? And by the way, what's the retail price on this tractor? And what's the price you're asking for?
So the price that we're gonna pay is around 70,000. The
Okay.
new one was 85,000, and this one has 160 hours. It was currently used by the Conservation Department in Cape.
And you say around 70, you don't have a locked-in figure?
$71,195.
Thank you. Okay, so, I have a motion, second, any comments? All in favor of purchasing this tractor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and aye, thank you, okay, thank you, Tom. Okay, any other departmental reports?
Just a couple quick things from ours. Absentee balloting started today, this morning at 8 o'clock over at Weber Road. You have to go to Weber Road to go to absentee. We will have a period of time in about 3 weeks where we'll be voting absentee on 2 separate elections, the one on March 10th and the one on April 10th. So we have got, we've had to keep everything separate, but they're ready to go when they're taking the ballot. So nobody can vote here anymore. And then second reminder is our annual bids are due in February 3rd. So
Okay.
next week, those need to be bid in so that we can bid them all out in the upcoming weeks.
Okay, I haven't confirmed it yet, but I believe your outside signage.
The sign is up.
It is up, okay. We were trying to get that in before your absentee started.
Start, yeah.
Okay, so there is outside signage on that building now, telling you.
And when you walk in the building, there's signage points you all
Okay.
the way down to the hall to the place where you vote.
Okay. Any other departmental reports? In that case,
I move we adjourn.
I have 2.
I'll
Okay.
second.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Thank you all for coming, we appreciate it.
Actually,